So we're going to take a look at two approaches to investing in real estate. One, borrowing other people's money or raising capital, and one, not borrowing money. And we're going to use some simple financial examples, and I'll let you make the decision. You're ultimately the one that drives how you invest in real estate. Are you going to buy things for cash, or are you going to use leverage? Well, if we bought a house for $100,000 in cash, we could have the option today to do that, to take $100,000 and also go borrow and buy more than one house. In fact, if the house cost $100,000, I'm just going to use some round, simple numbers. You couldn't buy a doghouse in San Diego for $100,000 or in Seattle or New York, but it's good from an illustrative purpose to teach this with very simple numbers. Well, if we bought a house, let's say in Memphis, Tennessee, and we paid $100,000 for this house, we could buy it with cash, or we could go to the bank and we could borrow 75% of each property, and we could buy 4 houses. So all we're going to do is math. And then you can make a decision about, as a real estate investor, is leverage and is borrowing money a powerful vehicle? Well, for example, let's take the example on the left, which is no debt. You would buy $100,000, you'd have no debt. Over on the right, we'd buy $400,000 worth of houses, or 4 houses for $100,000 each, and we would borrow $300,000. Now over here with no debt, so this is what we've traditionally been taught, and this is what I was taught when I was starting out. And at first this was uncomfortable, but I became very comfortable with it as we started to make more money. So the rent's $1,000 a month, or $12,000 a year annually. You don't have a bank loan to pay, so there's no principal and interest, but you do have taxes and insurance. And so your annual expenses are deducted out. So your positive cash flow is $700 a month. That's $8,400 annually. And your appreciation is 3%, let's say. So your return on your investment of putting down $100,000 is 11.4% return on investment. Let's compare that to the other investor who has gone out in there and borrowed. And so what they do is they have 4 houses that are each paying them $1,000 a month per house, or $12,000 annually. That brings in $48,000 in rent. Now they have a loan that they have to pay, principal and interest of $400 per house, or $4,800 per year, or $19,000. That's the debt service. That's what they're paying their lender, which is the bank in this example. Their taxes and insurance for each house add up to $14,400 a year. So their cash flow is $300 a house, as opposed to the person who used no debt for the one house at $700. However, because they have 4 houses, their cash flow is $14,400 a year, as opposed to $8,400 a year. Folks, it's just math. Utilizing debt, the investor who utilized debt is bringing in over $6,000 of additional cash flow. Not only that, though, but they have 4 assets in their asset column. So let's come back here. If we could pull up my whiteboard. The investor who bought it for cash put 1 house. The other investor put 4 houses. And if these investments appreciate, let's just look at the math here. That's $12,000. $12,000 on top of the cash flow. And if you do the return, it's $26.4. Let's go full screen here in just a second. Let's just compare. One investor brought in $8,000 in cash flow, $8,400. One investor brought in $14,400. The other investor had an appreciation value of $3,000. The other investor had 4 houses, so they 4x'd that return. That's $12,000. $26,400 versus $11,400. What you have is a 26.4% return on investment versus 11.4%. Now it's interesting. If you look at this, how does somebody who says, I'm going to go do this plan, how is this plan, right? Choosing to be debt-free, does that help someone's chance of building financial independence or hurt it?